Thermaltake is known for many things, such as water cooling components and PC cases, but to me, their gaming line of peripherals never seems to hold the same sort of reputation. But can that view change with the Challenger Duo RGB mouse and keyboard combo? Let's find out. This combo hits a great price point at just 39 Aussie dollars, but doesn't seem to be available in the US at the time of writing this script. As always, let's start off with the tour with the mouse first. On the left hand side is a small amount of plastic texturing, which in reality does stuff all for helping with grip, as I had to squeeze the mouse body quite hard to prevent my fingers from slipping. Above that is two well positioned side buttons that have a heap of play and just feel bad to press overall, with little to no resistance, and just feel poorly constructed altogether. On the right hand side is the same grip pattern, and one extra thing to note is the lip here seems to stick out too much for the way I grip the mouse and actually digs into the side of my finger, which can get uncomfortable quickly. You can lower your fingers and squish them together to prevent touching the lip, but that just made it even harder to actually grip the mouse body comfortably. Protruding at the front is a 1.8mm braided USB cable, which only allows the mouse to connect at a polling rate of 125Hz, which suggests it may only be a USB 1.1 connector. The left and right buttons actually feel pretty good, with a nice click and a rated for 10 million presses, which will last most gamers until they can buy something better. The scroll wheel, or well if you refer to the manual, is made from plastic but has a rubber coating with some okay-ish step definition, but too much actuation force required to press down for my liking. Behind that is the almost too far back to reach single DPI button, which allows you to switch between 800 DPI, which is blue, 1200 DPI, which is pink, 1600 DPI, which is red, and 2400 DPI, which is purple. These DPI settings are not customizable, so you are stuck with what you've got. On the palm area is the TT Esports logo, which lights up the selected DPI's colour, but more on lighting soon. Underneath are two quite thin but long Teflon feet, which I didn't have an issue with unhindered gliding, so good job there. Finally, the sensor in the middle, according to Thermaltake's website, is the A702 optical sensor, but I can't find any Google articles about this sensor, so I guess it's an in-house design or a rework of a different one. Back to lighting real quick, there are 4 zones on the mouse. The scroll wheel, the palm area, and one either side of the mouse that lights up the colour of the corresponding DPI selected, and apparently you can have either a static or a slow glowing effect by pushing both the scroll wheel and the DPI switch in together. Here's the funny thing, I can't get it to work no matter how many ways I try to do it. I can't get it to stay on the static colour, so I guess I'm just stuck with the glowing effect. Build quality wise, the mouse is made entirely from plastic, and apart from the side buttons is actually built quite well, with no rattle or flex. The mouse body is symmetrical, making it applicable for both left and right-handed users. Size-wise, the mouse is 123mm long, 65mm wide, and 39mm high, and weighing in at just 84 grams, meaning it's on the larger end for size, but a fairly average weight. Right, let's move on to the keyboard, which is a full-sized board with a numpad included. The keycap font has a nice simplistic and legible font, with the only standout being the arrow keys, which are shaped a bit like old-school spaceships. Your additional function keys, such as media or quick launch applications, are mapped as secondaries alongside the F keys, which can be accessed by holding down the function key located on the right hand side. Underneath the removable keycaps is of course membrane switches, also known as rubber dome switches, which certainly aren't my favourite, but you can't expect much at this price point. Here is a sound test. The cable is 1.5 meters but rubberized instead of braided, and also terminates in a USB 1.1 connector, which also means only 125Hz polling rate capable. Something that's just plain stupid about both USB connectors is the plastic surrounding them is so thick that when the peripherals are plugged in beside each other, they actually push against themselves, which can cause connection issues or prevent you from inserting them all the way in. I mean, come on, Thermaltake. Underneath are 2 plastic fold-out feet at the top for height adjustment and 2 rubber feet at the bottom that do absolutely stuff all to prevent the board from sliding. Now this keyboard does have lighting, but it is literally this static colour gradient, or by pressing the function and lighting cycle button, it will switch to a slow fade, which oddly enough, if you turn the lighting off, then back on by pushing the lighting cycle button, it will go back to being static, not remembering you had the fading effect enabled. Weird, but okay. Also, another thing to note is I had a huge amount of trouble with this board recognising quick key presses of the same key, such as when editing I would push enter to play my timeline, then quickly push enter again to pause it, and it would just flat outright not register and continue playing, which got frustrating fast. This didn't just happen with the enter key either, as when writing this exact script there were a few times it did not recognise the spacebar being pressed either. This is quite a strange issue as the keyboard boasts up to 24 key and key rollover, yet it couldn't recognise the same key being pressed twice rapidly when no other keys were in use at all, which is a big issue. The build quality of the keyboard is made out of plastic and what you would expect from a budget option with a lot of creaking and flex but not enough to do some internal damage. Size wise, the board is 470mm long, 180mm wide and 33mm high with the legs extended, and weight wise it's fairly average at 862 grams. Now that's out of the way, it's into some testing with mouse sensor height being first, which is done by lowering the mouse towards the pad and see when the sensor is picked up and how much the cursor moves before the mouse is placed down. This is a fail as the cursor moved a considerable amount, meaning if you lift your mouse to readjust your aim, it's going to be way off when you place it back down. Next up is line prediction, which is tested by trying to draw a straight line in paint and seeing if the sensor unnaturally corrects the line, making it straighter than it should have been. Again, this is another fail as the sensor constantly straightened the line for us. Up next is sensor skipping, which is tested by drawing a continuous spiral and checking for breaks within the image. Thankfully the spiral stayed connected, so this is a pass. The final mouse only test is looking for mouse acceleration, which is done by rapidly dragging your mouse between 2 points in game and seeing if the sensor speeds up or slows down your drag, making it hard to align at either point. There is a small amount of acceleration present, but honestly not enough to be a severe deterrent, so this is a pass. In-game testing is up next, and since so many people seem to have an issue with Fortnite, I played some Apex Legends. As expected, the keyboard was a huge letdown, with not registering multiple presses of the same key, meaning I constantly missed pickups and failed moves, and the mouse being uncomfortable in my hand made gaming on this setup just a frustrating experience, which will bring out the gamer rage in all of us. In conclusion, I have no idea if I have an effective keyboard or if this is how they will all perform, but honestly I wouldn't run the risk to save 10 or 20 bucks by not going with something like the Cooler Master Devastator 3 combo, which is still my recommended budget choice. I understand Thermaltake was trying to hit a low price point, so a lot of cuts had to be made, but reinvesting those extra $10 or $20 into the combo could have yielded something at least usable, as in its current state it's not even fit for office use, which is just sad. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and if you really enjoyed it, please consider subscribing for more reviews and other content in the future. If you have a suggestion, question or criticism, leave a comment, and thank you very much for watching.